Yo, what's good, people? It's Ocean here. Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a while. It's been over 6 months, maybe, probably even longer than that. The last one I did, I think, was with LLB. So it's been a while, but we're back. I'm starting the podcast over again. I guess you can call it like series 2, season 2. It's fresh. We're in the new location. I took a break from the podcast mainly because, one, I just wanted to focus on doing YouTube videos for a while. And two, I wanted to change, I guess, like the vibe of the podcast. Like before we was doing it straight over the internet, and I wanted to do something more in person. So I was kind of looking into like, how can I make that happen? How can I maybe set up a space and have people come through and do it more like face to face? Because I like that dynamic more. I feel like there's just way more of a vibe when someone's in front of you and you're having a conversation and it's flowing like that. But obviously it's not really possible with COVID and everything happening. Plus, a lot of the guests that I was interviewing are just not even in the country. Like a lot were from the US, from Canada, all these other places. So I thought, you know what, since that can't really happen, there's no point just not doing the podcast. I mean, personally, I love podcasts. I listen to like 2-3 podcasts a day. I'm always listening to podcasts. And a lot of people were asking me like, dude, where's the podcast? What happened to it? Like, you need to keep doing them. I was enjoying them. And what's the point of like, I guess, not doing the podcast when people are finding them useful, you know? So I thought, you know what, it's time. I've been banging out the YouTube videos. I think like I got a nice, rhythm with the YouTube videos going on. Let's bring back the podcast. So my plan is to do the podcast every week, have one dropping like every single Friday. I'm going to have guests from music producers, of course, but also like YouTubers, just people that I want to have a conversation with and talk to. And I feel like in these conversations, there's just going to be a lot to gain, a lot of gems dropped, of course, but just like a lot of interesting things to learn. Personally, like when I'm listening to a podcast, I learn so much. Literally yesterday, I think I was listening to a Kenny Beats one with Ross Golan, who does the And the Writer Is. And that's a sick podcast. I recommend it to everyone, especially musicians, but I definitely recommend it to everyone because he interviews like singer-songwriters, people who are more behind the scenes, but making big noise when it comes to making like the biggest records and stuff like that. And just in that hour and a half, man, I just learned like so much. It got my brain thinking like, oh, maybe I could try this. Maybe I can do that. Yeah, so this is like the first episode back. Today, I think is going to be more of me telling my story, telling who I am. My story up until this point, until, what's the date today? The 28th of April when I'm filming this. I got some people to ask me some questions on Instagram, so I'm gonna go through that as well. But yeah, I want to go through my story mainly because like I think it'll be good to just, I guess, show who I am or like where I've started from. It could be interesting for you guys. So let's just take it all the way back. So right now, I'm 25. I'm actually going to be 26 next week, which is actually not even next week. I'm going to be 26 this week. Time is flying. I'm losing track of time. But yeah, 25 right now. I've been doing music. I've been doing music production for like the last 5 years. I started when I was 21. And to be honest, yeah, if I look back in hindsight now, I should have always been doing music. Because when I was young, like when I'm talking, when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old, music was my thing. I remember like really being into UK garage because that was like what was popping at the time. And that really just being like something that made me super happy. I remember like one of my earliest memories, and that's the thing, yeah, I have a shit short-term memory, but I have a really good long-term memory. So I can think back of things that happened when I was a kid and I can remember it. But if you ask me, what did you do last Wednesday? I'd be scratching my head like, I don't know, I don't remember. But yeah, I remember like one of the earliest memories of being in the studio with my dad. He's not a musician or anything, but he used to just hang around with like people who made music. And they got me to basically do like this Eminem remix of My Name Is. So they had like the beat, the instrumental, and then I'd done a rap like my name is Ocean. And then my dad in the background is like cheering because I was super shy, super nervous. But yeah, they put that on a tape and I used to listen to that every single time before I went bed. So that was like my earliest memory of music. And then as I got older into like the teenage years, I mean, to be honest, I was listening to everything, literally everything. But I want to say like 13, 14, I started to really like rock music and punk music. Like I was listening to Blink-182, Sum 41, that kind of stuff. And I started to just pick up the guitar and teach myself how to play along to these songs, up until the point where like I got into a band and we started playing these songs as well. And then as I got a bit older, let's say like 15-ish, I started doing more like soul stuff. I got into like rare grooves and really 70s soul music and started to like teach myself bass then and play along to those songs. But the thing is, I'd say after, let's say around 16 years old, that's when I really wanted to make beats as well. Downloaded FL Studio, I got like a trial, hacked it of course. And then I tried to make one beat and it was like the most confusing thing ever. There wasn't really tutorials back then, so I didn't really know what I was doing and I kind of just gave up straight away. Made one thing, sounded cool, gave it up. And yeah, around this time as well, I remember my dad being like, yeah, you can't really be doing, like you can't really be pursuing music. You're gonna have to like think about school. You're gonna have to, you know, like really be on it, start getting good with your grades, start thinking about the future. And that's like, honestly, like a big turning point because that's when I gave up everything musical. Like I stopped teaching myself how to play the guitar, teaching myself how to play bass. I literally stopped everything musical, all my aspirations of maybe even becoming a musician. I wasn't even thinking one day I want to be a rock star or something like that, but anything musical, I kind of just gave up and just started like focusing on school. Like I started to get good grades in school and I was really, I was just on that more like an academic path, I guess you could say. So yeah, let's fast forward to like the end of school days. To be honest, I wasn't like, I didn't really like school that much now that I think about it. I was good at school. I got good grades and that, but I remember distinctly like in year 11, which in England, that's like the last year of school, you're 16. As we had like the last assembly and everyone's crying, everyone's sad. Me personally, I was like, I can't wait to get out of this assembly, go home, dash my tie and be done. Cause like, I just wasn't into school. So yeah, I finished school, went to sixth form, which is the equivalent, I think, to what would be like junior and senior year of high school for like all the American listeners. And the first year of that, I started to get back into music a bit. This was like early mixtape days. So think about like datpiff.com. So these are days where like Wiz Khalifa was popping on the mixtape scene, ASAP Rocky, and then you also had like good UK guys coming up. So I remember having like an iPod, filling it up with mixtapes, listening to every single mixtape from top to bottom. Old Kendrick, Big Crit, all these guys. And I was thinking, okay, yeah, maybe I can get back into music now. I don't have like any money to buy a laptop or like a Mac or Logic or like a keyboard or anything. Maybe I can try a thing. But it just never happened. I never tried again, really. I started getting more into school once again. The first year of sixth form was shit. Like I just flopped everything. I wasn't really taking it seriously. I was more concerned about getting money, getting the Jordans, looking fresh rather than like studying, I guess you could say. I remember like I had a job in McDonald's. I got paid minimum like £4 something an hour. I'd stack that up 2 weekends, buy the latest Jordans and be looking fresh for college. But then, yeah, the end of that first year, my grades were shit. Second year, I kind of just did a whole like 360 and decided, you know what, I really need to get good grades. I decided that I wanted to study medicine. I wanted to be a doctor, which now looking back, I'm like, that's a bit mad. But yeah, I wanted to study medicine. You have to get good grades to do that. So final year, I guess you call it senior year, year 13 in England. I'm going hard. If we weren't talking about biology, chemistry, I wasn't really trying to talk to anyone. I kind of just became a recluse, studying every single day, not thinking about music. Didn't get into university to study medicine. So in England, you kind of like, you can decide to take another course or you can take a gap year. I decided to take a gap year. And that gap year was honestly probably like the most depressing time of one of the most depressing times of my life. It was awful. I remember just having I remember always being broke during that year. I never really had money. I had so many jobs. I was working in CEX, which was like a phone shop, like a secondhand phone and electronic shop during the day. And then at night, I'd work in FedEx, like doing the night shift, pushing boxes. And then on the weekend, I would work as a steward in a football stadium. So I was working at like Chelsea, Watford, Wembley. And I was just getting like paid minimum, plus the fact that if you have loads of jobs and you get a bit more tax, you get taxed a bit more. So I had less money. And then on top of that, I'm from North London. I'm from a place called Ponders End. So that's probably like, to get to all these other places, taking public transport became costly. So like I was just spending half my wage on traveling, getting to these jobs to earn money for it to just be shit. So I remember I was just being like super depressed, scratching my head like, what am I going to do? I'm applying for medical school again during this time. And I didn't get in again. So now I'm really like, fuck, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I'm not going to get to medical school right now. I'm just like stuck at my mum's house, broke, not really doing like much. So that's kind of like, I guess what you could say, pushed me to start looking at how to make money online. And that was like my next journey. This is before like I even started making music and YouTube videos. So this was a time where, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called dropshipping. Dropshipping was really, really popular, but it was also really new. And dropshipping is basically a way to make money online. In these times, you would create a Shopify store and you would choose to sell a specific product. So for example, I chose to sell like sheds, garden sheds. So I'd make a website, have for sale these garden sheds. I would not own any garden sheds. So if someone bought a garden shed from my website, basically I would go to the manufacturer, say, hey, can you send it to this address? They would charge me, let's say 400 quid. And I would charge the customer 800 quid. And that was like my first like dive into making money online and entrepreneurship. So because I wasn't really making much money from this job and I didn't really know what path I was going to take, I kind of just dove into how do I make money online. I started studying everything, SEO, all these kind of things just to figure out how to make money online. So yeah, I started my Shopify store on the side. It wasn't really making like any money, but I was just happy to be making some money online. I remember I made my first sale, but I didn't price it right. So I actually made a loss by the time the manufacturers shipped the product to the customer. So I made like -£1, but I was just so happy that someone ordered from my website. And so during this time as well, you know, I was heavy into martial arts. I was training and I was looking online, like how to travel and do martial arts. Like, how can I go to Thailand and do martial arts? So the only way that I could fund that was if I was making money online. So I started researching that as well. I come to find, I don't even know, it was just so random, but I found this blog of this guy who was talking about living in a place called Chiang Mai in Thailand. And in this place, there was just like loads and loads and loads and loads of entrepreneurs that were basically, there was like a mastermind group. It was like they were in their own bubble. They were all doing dropshipping. They were all making money online, and they'll go there and they'll just hang out and talk about business all day. And it seemed like the ultimate dream. It seemed like this is the place that I need to be. All the dropshippers are there. I need to be there. If I go there, I could probably take my dropshipping website to the next level. So I remember one day I was like to my mum, my friends, my dad, everyone, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go Thailand for a month. And bearing in mind, so this was on the gap year. and it was approaching September when you're usually meant to be starting university. I didn't get into medical school, but I accepted to do sports science for some reason. I never was interested in sports science, but I accepted to do sports science at a university. So a month before that, I told everyone, I'm going to go Thailand for like a quick 2 weeks, quick 3 weeks, quick backpacking trip. I'll be back. I'll be ready to go. And everyone's like, yeah, that's cool. A couple of my friends was like, why would you choose Thailand? That's so random. Let's go to Bifa. Let's have fun. Let's get drunk. Let's chase birds. That was what they were on. I was like, no, I'm going to go Thailand. I'm going to go for a month. I'll be back. I booked a one-way ticket and I knew there was no way I was coming back. I just didn't want to tell anyone that I wasn't going to come back. Because if I've told my parents, they'd have been like, nah, you can't do that. They would have found a way to try and convince me to stay. But I just knew there's no way I could stay. Because when I was living at home with my mum, like, not to say it was terrible or anything, but I just felt like there was nothing happening for me. I was working these shitty jobs. I was always unhappy. I never had money. At least if I went to Thailand, I maybe could learn something new and experience something new. One thing that I got to say I was proper naive about was that on these blogs, they all said that Thailand was cheap to live. So I stacked up maybe about $1,000, maybe just over $1,000. And I'm thinking, this grand is going to last me like 6 months. I'm going to be cool. My dropshipping store is going to take off. It's all going to work out. But I was completely wrong. So, I flew to Thailand, got there. As soon as I went there, I just felt like, maybe this isn't the right move. It was the first time that I'd properly been away by myself, just into like this new surrounding. I didn't know anyone. So I was like, got to the hotel room and I was thinking, maybe I should book a return home. Maybe this is a bit too risky. But then it kind of worked out a little bit. The first 6 months was tough. But I managed to meet all those people that were talking about dropshipping. I managed to like integrate into that circle. And it was just as he described. Everyone was doing online business. Everyone was making money online. Everyone was, that was just the whole vibe. Everyone was talking about money, how to make money online, and it was sick. But the only thing was that I was broke. Like, boy, I came with that 1,000. By the time I paid for like a little motorbike scooter, I paid for rent on a room. Even though Thailand was cheap, I already had gone through half my budget. And my dropshipping store wasn't taking off as I thought it was. It wasn't really profitable. So I was burning money really quickly. Within that first month, I was like down to less than 500. And all I could afford was street food, which was tasty. It was sick, but I was broken. I needed to figure out something quick. So during that time, I had met with like other entrepreneurs, and some would, because I was also the youngest kid in the room all the time. I was like 19 at the time, and everyone was like at least 25, 26. Everyone I was hanging out with was older, and they already had lived a completely different life. Like a lot of them had jobs where they were working, let's say, in Wall Street, and they decided that career wasn't for them, so they moved to Thailand and started their online business. So they come from like, I guess just like a different path. And so with that, I was able to finesse my way into helping them build their online business, and they would pay me. And I was doing that quite a bit. And I was just doing the most random things. I was running Facebook ads for people. I was writing emails for people, doing all these things to help them with their online business, just so I could earn a little money on the side. And that was kind of getting me through. For the first 6 months, that's what I did. And I just managed to survive every single month. Like I just made enough money to live somewhat comfortably in Thailand, to pay for my room, pay for my food, pay for my bike. And that was it. And I was just working like nonstop, doing all these random things. But I remember there was this one guy, there was a time period so this was around 2014. There was a time period where the next like fad of making money online was to sell t-shirts online, like these really crazy random ideas. It would be a t-shirt saying, never underestimate the power of a woman who rides horses, and then you'll switch out the design. Never underestimate the power of women who play football. And then basically you'd get that t-shirt design and you'd use Facebook ads to advertise it, because on Facebook you could target, women who play football, women who do horse riding. and just raking the money. Literally, like, people were making so much money selling these random t-shirts. And I remember this one guy specifically in the office space that I used to work. He was killing it. He was like making about $3,000 a day selling these t-shirts, and he started to employ everyone around him to help him crank out these designs and help him run his Facebook ads. But the thing is, he wouldn't share any information on how to do it. He kept it very close to himself. He didn't want to let anybody know. So it come to a point where my visa was running out in Thailand. So I decided to move to Vietnam. That was kind of like the vibe. Everyone was saying the next best place after Thailand, where all the dropshippers and everyone making money online was in Ho Chi Minh City. So I left Thailand, I went to Ho Chi Minh City, and I met someone who was a friend of the guy who was making loads of money selling these t-shirts. And that friend basically told me the whole blueprint of the business model, how to do it, how to flip t-shirts online. He was like, he's doing these designs. I'm actually doing the exact same designs, but I'm translating it in German because he was a German guy. And I think there's opportunity if you do it in another language, it could work. And that was like literally a light bulb in my head. I was studying French at A-level, so I could kind of speak French at the time. A lot better than I can now. I've kind of like almost forgotten everything. But that was literally just like a big light bulb in my head. So I was like, damn, if he's making money doing it in the German market, I'm going to do it in the French market. Literally, like, I remember the day I walked into like this coffee shop in Vietnam, put my laptop down, ordered like a banh mi baguette, had that with a drink, ate that real quick, knocked up 2 or 3 designs, published it, run the ads, took me about an hour, sat back, refreshed the page, 100 quid. And that, to me, at that time, 100 quid felt like everything, because bearing in mind, I had hardly any money at that point, and I was just trying to figure out a way, how can I sustain this life of like traveling and making money online? Because I realistically had maybe a month or 2 before I'd have to go home and get a job or maybe go to university again. But literally, I refreshed the page, £100. I'm like, fuck, this is real. Refresh the page again, 200 quid. I'm like, ooh, I finally made some money online, like properly. I finally have like an online business. And literally, from that moment, I just jumped into that, selling t-shirts online with Facebook ads, made a bunch, well, not even that, I wouldn't say like a bunch of money, but I made enough money so I could sustain a lifestyle of like traveling around. And so basically I did that for a while. I went a bit crazy. Like, can you imagine? I was eating nothing but street food every single day to now like I can go to the sushi buffet instead of, the pho from the street. I can, I don't know, go on a tour or something like that in these countries. So yeah, I guess you could say like that moment was kind of life-changing for me at that moment. So yeah, I'm in Vietnam, started making a bit of money, and that's when I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just like go for it. I'm gonna travel to all these random places. So from there, literally, I just hopped around. I went to Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, all these random places. Then I remember it was approaching summertime, and a few friends around me was like, oh, I heard like Serbia is really nice in the summer. You should go. And I was just like, why not? I don't really know anything about Serbia. Let's just go. And it's probably like one of the most random decisions I made. I just literally moved to Serbia on a whim. And I'm not going to lie, like, as soon as I got there, I've never felt as anxious as I ever have, because I thought maybe, you know what, maybe this risk was too big. Like, maybe I've just pushed the boat too far. I went to Serbia, and as soon as I got off the plane, I just felt a bit weird. Obviously, like, I'm the only black guy in a very white country, so I'm thinking like, oh, maybe this is going to be racist. For the first week, I was super nervous. I didn't really leave the Airbnb that I was staying at. And then, because I would say, yeah, I'm someone who likes to, who kind of like tries to be uncomfortable, because that's the best way to learn. When you're in your comfort zone, it's easy. When you're outside your comfort zone, you're forced to grow as a person and really learn. So yeah, going to Serbia, I was really like in my uncomfortable zone. So yeah, the first week, kind of just stuck in the Airbnb house. Then the second week, I started to like get around the city and move around and stuff. And it completely like was a different experience to how I thought it was going to be. People would come up to me because obviously I stick out. Not only am I black, but like I have dreads. So the locals would just come up to me and be like, "Yo, so what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I don't really know. I'm just here, just exploring the country." And then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you should check out this and that. There's this party happening there. You should go to there, like blah, blah, blah." And it was really like, again, just one of those experiences that really opened me up and got me out my comfort zone. I'd say like I'm more or less like a quiet person, but in those situations, you kind of just have to socialize and meet new people. But yeah, I was just traveling around. After Serbia, I think I went to like the US, I went to Canada, I went to all these random places. And I'd say I continued on this route for maybe like a year or two, making money online and traveling. That was my thing, and I was loving it. But I started to get maybe just a little bit bored of it. I was thinking, what's next? Especially then, like, I was huge into MMA. I was a huge MMA fan. I was watching like every single UFC card. I was like a proper fanatic about it. I'd watch all the countdowns, know every single fighter, their whole backstory, where they train at. And then it got to the point where it's like, you know what? I could probably do this. Maybe I can be an MMA fighter. Maybe I could fight. I've always been into martial arts. When I was younger, I did a bit of karate, I did a bit of everything, a bit of judo, bit of kickboxing for a while. And initially, the reason, I guess you could say like, the burning desire to travel was because I wanted to travel and do martial arts anyway. So I thought to myself, yeah, maybe I could be an MMA fighter. So I moved back to Thailand. I moved to a place called Phuket. And in Phuket, there's a road called Soi Thayet, something like that, or Tiger Street. And along these streets, it's just full of MMA gym, Muay Thai gym, MMA gym, health food store, fight clothing shop, health food store, MMA gym. Basically on this road, if you're a fighter, it's heaven, it's paradise. You don't need to leave. You go there, you train, you relax, you recover, you train. That's all you do. So I moved to this road. I enrolled into an MMA gym, but my thinking was, I know a bit of stand-up. Let me just do jiu-jitsu. And so that was my life for a while. I didn't leave this road for a good 2 months. So I went into the MMA gym. I was training 2 to 3 times a day. Bearing in mind, I went in there as a complete beginner. I'd never done any jiu-jitsu before, and I was just thrown into the fire. I remember the first day going on the mats, the instructor paired me up with like some. He was a white belt, but he completely demolished me. And I just remember thinking, there's absolutely nothing I can do. I'm completely powerless in this situation. He could just do whatever he wants with me. He basically beat me up on the mats, but it was very humbling, and I kind of just like really enjoyed it. It was really just like, okay, this is going to be a challenge. It's not going to be as easy as I thought. Let's just go after it. And so yeah, I was training every day, and this was like, how can I put this? This was like a proper like character building moment, because it didn't matter if I was injured, if I was tired, if I had a bad day, I had to turn up on the mats every single day. There was no excuses. I couldn't not just miss it. I was being held accountable by the instructor, so I had to be there every day. And I remember like the first month was tough because I didn't really know anything, and I was just getting beaten up. I was kind of just like a rag doll. And then a month into it, I started to get to grips. I'm starting to get the moves. I'm starting to tap people out, and it's getting cool. Then I remember like 6 weeks into it, my body kind of just like completely broke down. I was feeling mad tired. I was getting injured. And I remember just like, I don't know, almost getting really frustrated. Now that I look back on it, it's like, it's only training. It's not that deep, bro. But I remember one time, like I'm rolling and I'm getting into it, and I'm about to go for a move. I'm thinking I'm going to get the submission. Then I get tapped out, and I just like completely flip out on the mat, like just smash the mat. I'm like, fuck's sake, screaming. But yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. But during this time period, I realized I wasn't built the same as these other fighters. A lot of these fighters, when it comes to the competition time, they could just switch it on and go after it. Whereas for me, I was very chill, very relaxed about everything. I'll take my time. I didn't have that on switch, that aggression. And plus, I started to think like, damn, it's really going to take me a long time to actually get good at fighting, good at jiu-jitsu, good at kickboxing, all the elements in an MMA fighter. Is this something that I'd really want to do for the next 10 years? And even if I do it for the next 10 years and have nothing to show for it, will I be happy with that? And I started to question myself, like, maybe not. As much as I do love martial arts, as much as I do love MMA, maybe I'm not built for this fighting thing. And during this time period, I'm still doing the online business, but I also have just spent a lot of time in my room by myself. And I just started to like really get back into music again. This was around the time period, let's say late 2015. UK music is really popping again. Like Skepta's popping. There was a beef between Bugsy Malone and Chip, who were UK rappers. They were going at it. There was like a diss track like every week or so. And I was really getting into like UK music again. And I remember listening to a Young Thug song. I think it was Best Friend. And I loved the beat. I'll just play that on repeat. And again, I just had that thought like, man, these beats are sick. I think I could maybe do something like this if I just put some time into it. So one evening, I just downloaded Logic Pro X. Again, one of these, like torrents. Just downloaded Logic Pro X, made a beat. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this is cool. I actually enjoyed the process of doing it. So I sat there and I thought, man, how long would it take me to actually get good at music production? Because I was very aware that the beat that I had just made was shit. I knew it wasn't good. As much as I enjoyed the process, I knew straight away, like, this is not a banger. There's no way I could get someone to rap on this. But I just thought to myself, you know what? If I spend, I don't know, 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, how long is that going to take me to essentially master the skill of music production? Even though I kind of think there's never going to be a point where you've just mastered it and that's it. You're always learning. But I just thought, you know what, how long can it take me to get good? So I calculated it. It was like 9 or something years. It was the first time that I thought to myself, okay, I could actually do this for 9 years and be happy. I actually really enjoy this. So it's like January 2016, New Year's resolution. I say to myself, I'm going to make beats 3 hours every single day. And that's it. I'm just going to get good at making beats. And I literally did that. I was still traveling around. I was still making some money online, even though it started to get less and less and less. The whole fad of selling t-shirts online was really dying out. It wasn't something that was long-term. It was just like a quick cash thing. But it started to die out. I realized I wasn't going to be an MMA fighter, so I kind of gave up that dream, even though I still continued to train because I did enjoy it. I knew that wasn't going to be something for me. But I felt like if I can put in my time with the music, then this could be something. So I did 3 hours more or less every single day for at least the first 6 months, still traveling around. And then I think I ended up in Atlanta, and it was the first time where I had actually played my beats to a rapper. And at this point, I wasn't putting out any music. I kind of kept it all to myself. It was like a little secret. I didn't really tell anyone that I was making music. I kept it all to myself. In hindsight, I probably should have shared my music a bit more to get more feedback. But anyway, it was the first time that I played my beats to a rapper. And he was like, you know what? Like, this is actually a vibe. Like, I need this one. Let me have this beat. Let me rap on it. And I was like, okay, like, we're onto something here. I've been putting in my time and someone actually likes my beats. Maybe this, like, it started to just build confidence in me. It started to, I started to kind of take it a bit more seriously. But to be honest, at the same time, I didn't know what to do with all these beats that I've been making. I had the view that posting them online and selling them online was kind of a waste of time for some reason. And I was just sitting on a lot of beats. And I remember this was around the time where music producers were just starting to pop off on YouTube. My younger brother was heavily into YouTube. Like, he used to watch his vloggers, Fusi Tube, Roman Atwood, all these kind of guys. And they always used to say to me, like, bro, you should do something like this. Like, you're traveling around, this could probably be cool. But I'm like, nah, I'm not trying to be in front of the camera. Forget that. Nah, I'm not on it. But I see Pat Ryan pop up. Shout out Pat Ryan. And he literally just made a video of him just making a beat layer by layer. And I thought that was like one of the coolest things I've seen. I hadn't really seen anything like that on YouTube really in a long time anyway. And he got like 1 million views off that one video. So I'm like, ooh, that's cool. I like that, but nah, I'm not really trying to do it. I'm not trying to do it. And then I remember as well, I was speaking to a good friend of mine, one of my best friends. And I sat down and I said to him, you know what, like, I'm really loving this music thing, but I don't know what to do with it. Like, I don't have any connections in the industry, so I don't know how to get my beats to people. Maybe I should just keep it as a hobby and keep doing this online thing. And he was like, bro, like, what do you have to lose? You should just go for your music, because in 10 years' time, if you look back on it, you're going to regret it and you're not going to be happy. So that was like another mind shift. And then I saw Sharp pop up, shout out Sharp, and he was killing it, dropping a video like every single day, making these. He was more. It was his videos were more like challenges and fun stuff, making beats at the fastest BPM, making beats at the slowest BPM, and they were getting mad views as well. So I'm starting to realize, you know what? There's a niche here. Something is popping off on YouTube. There's something here. So yeah, I remember like my money was dying out. I was basically running out of the money that I had made online. Around this time, I had moved to Canada, living with family. And bruh, this was another depressing time because it was winter in Canada. When people say, oh yeah, Canada's cold, I was like, yeah, whatever, man. Everywhere's cold. You're probably just hyping it up. But nah, like it was mad. I was taking buses everywhere across the city and it's super spread out. I mean, like me being as a Londoner, I'm used to just walking everywhere, jumping on a bus and being somewhere kind of quickly, relatively quickly. But in Canada, it would take me like 2 or 3 hours to just get anywhere. And I remember like this one time, I was living in a place called Scarborough, which is like east of the city of Toronto. And I went to Mississauga, which is like the west of the city. And I took public transport. And that was like the longest journey ever. But not only that, the snow was like this thick, super, super thick. I weren't prepared. I was wearing like Nike Prestos, ripped jeans. Got lost. I was out in the snow for like 2 hours, freezing to death, man. And yeah, basically I went to go see my aunt on the other side of the city. By the time I got there and found her place, like I couldn't even move. I couldn't feel my fingers. I couldn't feel my hands, anything. So I'm just like, fuck, man. I need to get out of here. Like, this is not it. It's too cold. So I bounced from there, bounced around a bit more while my money was just dying. Ended up in Colombia. And I think I was at a breaking point here. Because it's like, I got to Colombia, I was still making some money online, but I realized I actually was not enjoying it anymore. I would just do it just so I could get by. All my time was on music, especially because at this time in Colombia, I couldn't speak any Spanish. So I didn't get to experience the country as much as I would usually want to, like get out and meet people and everything. I kind of just stayed home, making a lot of beats, really getting into it and just thinking to myself, I need to go after it. It's either now or never because there's a niche on YouTube right now. I might as well go for it. I'm sitting on hundreds of beats, not doing anything with this music. I need to just put it out now. So I kind of just made a decision right there and then in Colombia, like, I'm going to post a video 2-3 times a week. I'm going to stick to it. Whatever happens, happens. I didn't really have any expectations of like, I need to get 100K in a year or something like that. It was just like, I got these beats. Let's just showcase it now. Whatever happens, happens. I wanted to just document my journey as well as a beat maker, as a producer. And that's when I also decided that if I'm going to take this YouTube thing a bit more seriously, then I probably need to base somewhere for a while just so I can have a bit more stability. Because moving around is fun and everything like that. It's exciting, it's an adventure, but it's hard to commit to things. It would be hard to make sure I'm doing a video every other day or something like that. So I decided to come home. I came back to England, but I moved out of London to a place called Essex, which is it's not that far out of London. One of my grandma had just moved there. She had a spare room, so I went to live with her for a while. And that's when I really got it cracking. I was pumping out these videos 2-3 times a week, sometimes 4. And if you go back on my channel, you can see these videos because the quality is poor. Like, they're terrible. I'm not going to lie, they're terrible videos. But at the time, I thought they were the best thing in the world. I thought they were sick. I was making these really shitty beats, but I thought they were bangers. And you could just see, like, I'm in the spare room, so you can see the cardboard boxes in the back. You can see, like, my bed not even made up properly. I have, like, this old Akai MIDI keyboard that is broken, but I'm still banging it out. So, yeah, by this time, I've more or less quit making money online. The whole T-shirt thing had died out to the point that if I tried to launch a T-shirt, sell it on Facebook, it wasn't working anymore. I did have little gigs with people running their marketing just to make some money, just so I didn't have a job. But I was living off just the savings that I had. And I was treating YouTube like a full-time job by this point. Even though it made no money, it had no, there was not even like any indication to be like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to be making money. There was no signs of that because my views was like 10 to 20 views per video. But I was loving the process. Like, it was just exciting. It was fun banging out these videos. And then it got to the point where it's like my grandma didn't really want me there anymore. I kind of got kicked out and I was just kind of like, where do I go? Do I start traveling again? But I knew this wasn't the route because I wanted to be stable and in one place. And at the time I had met my ex-girlfriend and she was like a student in the town. So basically, I lived like a student for a while. I moved into like, like student accommodation basically. And I was just banging out these videos, but at the same time, it was like I was living this university experience, but without actually being a university student. Like I would just turn up on campus, hang out on campus with people as if I was a student. People would be like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm just here to chill in here. I might just go get some food from the student union. Might just grab a beer with one of my friends there. Might just hit the library, chill there. It was like I was living like a student, but unofficially. And this was like such a fun time because it was such a different world from the world that I've been living in. Before, I was the young guy surrounded by all these old guys. Well, not even old guys, but just older people traveling around and experiencing something new. To now being almost like a student and just making videos every single day. And basically, yeah, I was making videos upon videos. The first year of doing it, I don't think I hit 10,000 subscribers. I was underneath 10,000 subscribers, but I just had a burning desire to keep posting because I had a feeling that if I just keep going, not focus on the results, then it could grow somewhere. And then it got to the time where my girlfriend at the time, she had graduated, so she's leaving that town. And we're thinking, maybe we should move to London. But I'm like, I don't want to move back yet because at this time I have no money left really from the savings that I had, and YouTube hasn't taken off enough for me to just like make a living from it. So I'm like, you know what? She was Spanish. Let's go Spain. I knew the cost of living was cheap there, or cheaper than London anyway. So I could more or less not worry about money and still continue to pursue YouTube as if it's my full-time job, even though it's not paying me. But pursue it as if it's my full-time job so I can keep growing and keep going. And that's what we did. We moved to Spain. And again, that was just a great experience. I learned some Spanish. I was experiencing a different culture. The weather was nice. The lifestyle was different. People were friendly. I was loving it. And I had a great balance of that, but also making my videos. And every time they were just getting better and better as I was releasing more and more videos. They were getting better and better. And then I want to say by the end of my time, the first time that I was in Spain, I lived in a place called Seville, which is in the south of Spain. By the end of that, let's say 6 months there, I had gained 10K subscribers. And once I hit 10K subscribers, I was like, yeah, all right, this is a thing. We're on now. This can be an actual thing. So I decided to like, from the small money that I had earned from YouTube, it wasn't even that much. When I had 10,000 subscribers, I could just about upgrade my camera. And that was a big risk because I thought if I pay for this camera, I'm going to be like living on a fine line for a while. But I feel like this is the necessary step in order to increase my quality. Because if I increase the quality of my videos, then they'll just be more watchable. And in turn, that kind of just snowballs. More watchable videos, more likely someone will watch my videos, therefore more subscribers, and things will keep going. So I did that, took a risk, bought my camera. Then we moved again. We moved to Indonesia this time, moved to Bali. Again, my thinking here was just like, if I can just keep my cost of living low so I don't have to get a job and still treat YouTube as a full-time gig, then I'm good. Once I got that camera, once I had 10,000 subscribers, things started to grow quite quickly for me. We jumped from like 10K subscribers to 20K subscribers within a matter of months. Bearing in mind, it took me over a year to get that first 10K subscribers, but then from 10 to 20, double the amount. It really only took like 2 or 3 months. And from that moment, now that I was doing, I was always doing YouTube like it was a full-time job, but now it was actually paying me almost like a full-time job. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was enough to like, okay, I'm all right now. Like I can actually live off this. And that's when like I finally became, I guess you could say, like a full-time YouTuber. Again, I just kept on cranking out these YouTube videos one after another, 2, 3 a week, every other day. And I kept on growing, and it took a while to hit 100K subscribers. But let's say I had 10K subscribers in January 2019. And then it was around summertime. I was living back in Spain again. My brother came through. He wanted to do a video with me. We recorded a video. It was my younger brother makes a beat from scratch. And I'm going to be honest with you, when we made this beat, after I filmed it, I was like, you know what? I'm not really feeling this vibe, you know, like, I don't know if I'm going to put this one out, which is weird because before I always had the thing of, it's not about the quality, it's just about the quantity. Just keep hitting that YouTube algorithm, keep punching. But with this one, I'm like, I'm not really feeling the energy. I don't feel like I enjoyed it that much. But it's like, nah, put in the work, man. Like, you made me sit here and make a beat all this time. You have to put this video out. So I start editing it, and I'm getting to it, I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do it. And he's like, no, please put it out. Put out the video. And it became like my biggest viewed video on the channel. Within like the first 2 weeks, it hit 200K views. And I was just like, whoa, there's something here. Within like the next month or so, it hit 1 million. And that completely changed things on my channel. Even though I probably had 100 to 150 videos before, this one video kind of blew everything up. It went from maybe having like 40K subscribers to like 100K by the end of the year within that short period of time. That one viral video just really lifted everything up. It brought like a whole new audience to me. And from that point on, that's when I was like, okay, I'm like a proper producer now. Like I'm a YouTube producer now. Not even like a YouTube producer, because I kind of think that phrase is kind of stupid. I'm a music producer that just makes videos on YouTube. But then I was like, okay, this is actually real now. I can make even though I was making somewhat of a living, now I'm making like a living. I don't really have to second question myself anymore, self-doubt, like, is this gonna work? Now it's working. That video kind of changed everything. So it gets to the end of 2019, 2020, got to move again. We have to leave Spain. My ex-girlfriend at the time, she was studying abroad. She was like basically studying abroad, and she had to go to Sweden. And for me, I didn't really want to go to Sweden and have to keep moving around. I really felt like basing somewhere was really what helped take my channel to the next level, being consistent. So I'm like, I'm moving back to England. I was originally going to move back to London, it was a bit pricey for me. A couple of friends was like, yeah, come to Manchester. It's actually a vibe. Never been before. Actually, I had went once to see a friend, but I've never like spent more than a day there. But I just thought, you know what? I got nothing to lose. Let's move to Manchester. And again, just that whole year, I was just banging out videos. And I think during that year, I probably had like a bit of a mind switch, because before I was very focused on just doing YouTube videos, but now I wanted to take things to the next level, I guess. I wanted to start really working with artists, getting into sessions, sending out beats for rappers to jump on. And I guess that was like the switch. So yeah, I started to think like, how can I start getting into rooms and stuff? But bearing in mind, like, as I got to Manchester, maybe I was a month there, COVID hit, everything got locked down, everything got shut down. So it was a bit of a blessing in a way, because I felt like I spent a lot of that year just really learning more about music production, really getting deeper into the craft, really trying to learn new instruments, like get serious, a bit more serious with the piano, take up the guitar. And I just spent a lot of time really on the music production side of things, just trying to get better, still cranking out my videos so I could grow the platform, but also trying to develop like the foundation to start really going after placements. So yeah, we spent a couple months down in Manchester. At the end of the year, towards the end of last year, I decided I need to take a step up now. It's time for me to like maybe get a studio. I was listening to Kenny Beats. I'm a big Kenny Beats fan. I could listen to Kenny Beats all day. But I remember him doing a video on his Twitch. It was like a replay on YouTube, and he was talking about when he got a studio, things changed for him. He would have a place to create. He had a place where he could just bring people through, create with them, record people. And it was almost like a hack to getting placements. So that kind of changed my mindset. So I decided to look at studios. I was thinking of getting one in Manchester, but I thought, you know what, I don't really want to stay here in Manchester for too long. I got to be in London, because in terms of like UK music, the scene is biggest in London. That's where the most opportunities are. So I guess I'd done a whole full circle, basically, to come home, to come back to London, which is where I am now. I got my studio, set it up, which is where we are now. I moved back, and I think just as things has progressed, my videos have progressed, they're getting better, but also now I feel like I'm at a point where I'm trying to branch out into, I guess, like the more industry side of things, trying to get placements, trying to get sessions. And yeah, that's where I'm at today. So yeah, I guess that's a long like explanation of my story so far to this day. I mean, I've got placements, nothing major, no major placements. But that's something that I'm working towards now. The YouTube channel is growing, and I would definitely consider myself, in terms of music, if we had to speak like relatively, maybe I would be considered somewhat of like a late bloomer or a late comer to music. But at the same time, I don't even feel like I've bloomed yet. I've still got a ways to go, you know what I'm saying? I'm only like 5 years into the journey, and there's still like a lifetime to go. And I know like a lot of people, I mean, it's amazing that there's so many young people out there who are making beats and killing it. People who are like 12, 13. There's an 11-year-old producer that I know who's making sick beats. And I wish I was that age doing it, especially like as I look back now. I wish I just did music and not maybe like listened to other people when it comes to, you know, being more serious and being more academic. I should have just been on music from a long time ago. But anyway, I'm grateful to have gone through all those experiences. I can't even say it, but all of those things to, I guess, come full circle and come back to music. And to be honest, like if I didn't learn all those skills while I was traveling, if I didn't learn how to, I don't know, edit for people, then I wouldn't be able to have edited my videos. Or all these little things that I learned on the road, traveling, have all kind of played a part into where I am at today. So I guess it was kind of necessary for it to happen. And I know there's a lot of older producers out there who are scratching their head. Maybe they're like 25, 30. Nothing's really happened for them yet. and they're thinking like, maybe I'm too old. Music is a young man's game. But to be honest, like, one thing that I live by, I got this from Poet and Vuj, is that there's no rules. There's literally no rules when it comes to this. In terms of music, I mean, obviously there's music theory, but you can break it and you can still get a hit record. But like, there's no rules and there's no blueprint and there's no set ways to becoming a music producer or becoming a top level music producer. This is just my journey, and everyone's got a different journey. So, yeah, basically, I don't know what I was trying to explain, but I'm at a point where right now, my goals is to really just run it up, try and get placements and try and work with artists and just try and make amazing music. That's where I'm at today. I love doing YouTube. I love creating content and being able to like, not only just document my journey. If you go back to my videos, you'll see the times where I had no equipment and I had just the laptop on a pile of books to now having like bare sims in the room. You can see when my beats were shit, like using some dead drum sounds, making the basic melodies to now, you know, they sound a lot better. Maybe they're not the best in the world, but, you know, there's a big progression there, and hopefully that inspires people that if you just keep at one thing, or if you keep on at something, it's almost like you have to get better. How can you get worse if you just keep on trying to improve at something? So yeah, that's, as I said, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to pursue placements and stuff like that now. But yeah, that's my journey so far, 25 years on Earth. That's where we're at. Maybe I might need to do like an update of this in about a couple of years' time where hopefully, you know, I've run it up, got a few plaques, got a few placements. And yeah, I hope you continue to listen to this podcast, because I'm going to have more guests on that are going to share their stories, and hopefully you can find like some inspiration in that as well. Learn from their gems, learn from things that they've learned, and take that for yourself, apply it to your life, and hopefully it can progress you in what you're trying to pursue, or even like the mistakes that they've done. And you can just learn from their mistakes so you don't have to make those mistakes as well. But I did say on Instagram that I was going to be doing, I was going to be answering some questions. I asked the people to send me in some questions. So I'm just going to go through some of them now and answer some of them. So someone asked me, where have you lived? I've lived in quite a lot of places. I've been to a lot of places, but the places that I lived in was Thailand. I probably spent like a year and a half in Thailand if I added up all my time. Not at once, but just going back and forth would be probably like a year and a half. Spain for around the same time period. Vietnam, lived in the Philippines, lived in the US for a while, lived in Canada. Am I missing somewhere? Serbia for a bit. I think that might be it. Those places. Colombia as well. And then the rest were just like, like quick trips here and there. But yeah, I lived in quite a few places. Oh, and Indonesia. Someone asked me why oats, because it's the best. It fuels you for the day. It gives you energy. And for me personally, it doesn't make me feel super hungry throughout the day. Another person asked, were you nervous putting yourself out in the public at first? I'd say like in the very, very, very beginning, yes, because I wouldn't consider myself like a camera person. I wouldn't say I'm shy or anything like that, but I'm not like the most outgoing person. I wasn't natural with the camera. I never wanted to be in front of the camera. But I also knew from the beginning, if I was going to make it as a YouTuber or have some success at this, then I had to just rub that kind of attitude out of me. It couldn't be about perfection. It had to be about banging out these videos, doing the quantity and putting myself out there. So I'd say once I decided, yeah, I'm going to do YouTube, that's when I kind of got into the mindset of, we can't be nervous. There's just no time for that. Forget that. Let's just go after it. And so, yeah, I guess in the initial beginning, bit nervous, but then after that, no, I was fine. Especially because like, even though the camera can be intimidating, literally it's just the camera. It's just like me talking to the camera, no one's around. So I kind of feel comfortable in front of it now. You grow into it for sure. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, just like anything. Someone asked me why Ocean. Ocean is my real name. Like, that's my birth name, my first name. What is the advantages of Logic Pro X? If we was to talk like the nitty gritty, I'd say I find it kind of easy to record live instruments and manipulate the audio and stuff. But really and truly, yeah, it don't really matter what DAW you use. It doesn't matter if you use FL or Ableton or whatever. As long as you find the workflow that works for you, then that's all good. Whatever you like, you like. Personally, I love Logic Pro X. I've been working on it for a long time. I got used to all the shortcuts and everything, so I don't think I'm going to change anytime soon, even though I have tried like FL Studio and Ableton, and I do like those DAWs. I'm just too far gone with Logic Pro X. And so I'd say it doesn't really matter like what you use. You can find the advantages in any DAW. For example, in FL Studio, the drum sequence is really nice, and if you prefer that, then that's an advantage for you compared to doing it in Logic. So it just depends on what you consider advantages and what works for you, but Logic works perfectly for me. That's my go-to. How long was it before you felt like, oh yeah, now I know what I'm doing? This is a battle because honestly, yeah, every day I kind of think to myself, damn, I don't really know what I'm doing. I still have like so much to learn. I might be making a beat and then I realize I might not know how to do something. And then it goes to, okay, let's learn that technique. Then that goes into, let's learn another technique. And then it's like a rabbit hole of, damn, I still got a lot to learn. Honestly, like I say, I got comfortable at least a year into producing because before I knew that all my beats were dead. Now I feel like I do make good beats. I do make decent beats. Rappers could jump on it. But at the same time, I always get the feeling of I don't really, in a way, don't know what I'm doing. Like I still feel like I've still got so much to learn, so much to go through. There's always ways to improve. Sometimes I'm even overwhelmed by how much things I need to improve at. I guess it's always going to be like that, you know. It's probably going to be like a never-ending thing. Obviously, you're going to get better. But in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, Logic Pro X is going to be dead. There's going to be the next way to make beats. It could be something to do with like AI or something, and that's the new wave on how to make beats. Just like, I don't know, 20 years ago, people were making beats on a Triton, on an MPC. Then that's dead. Moved into DAWs. That will die. Then you're just always going to have to be evolving and improving. What simple advice do you have for producers who are just starting out? I would say, personally, yeah, when you're starting out, have zero expectations. Don't put pressure on yourself. Don't think, okay, I have to make 10 beats every single day. I have to make 3 bangers every single day and send them out to rappers. I need to get my beats here, there, and everywhere. When you start putting pressure on yourself, then you're going to start sucking away the fun. And then I think the most important thing, especially when you're starting out, is to just have fun and constantly be curious, be open to learning more things. If you're really into it, then become obsessed about it. And yeah, that natural curiosity will just keep you going. But if you take the pressure off yourself and just keep making beats and beats and beats, you're just going to naturally improve. I think that was something that was key for me. The first year I was making beats was crucial for me. And I think that's kind of what like sparked everything. I didn't put any pressure on myself. I didn't have the feeling of I need to send out beats to this person and that person. To me, it was just like, let's just put in these 3 hours every single day. Let's just stay learning and just trying to improve and get better. And as long as I'm getting better and improving, then that's all good. Then that's it. Maybe even that might have been a bit of pressure, but I think that's the best advice you could have. But one mistake that I think I made is I didn't really put anything out there. I think now I'd probably have, if I was to do it again, maybe I'd put my music out there a bit more. Again, not with the expectation of I need it to get loads and loads of views, but just put it out there and get people, just have some sort of feedback. Ask people, what do you think of this? Get an idea to see like if you're on track, if people are actually messing with your music, if people are actually vibing to it. That's something that I didn't do for a long time. For some people that may work though, because let's say someone said, you know what, your beats are shit, your beats are terrible. That might put you off. So I guess you have to be self-aware of what's good for you, innit? If you're just beginning and you think that's gonna put you off, even though I don't think it should, but let's say it does, then maybe just keep your music to yourself for a while until you think you're at a decent level. That's subjective, but you can always tell like what is quality music. But that's something that I think I would have done differently, was just put my music out there a bit more and get more feedback. And yeah, just have no pressure on yourself. That's important. Have fun with it. How did you get your start in music production? Was it self-taught or lessons early in life? I learned everything through YouTube in terms of making beats, doing music production. There really wasn't that many Logic Pro X producers. I remember one specifically though, Joby Job, shout out Joby. He done some YouTube, he done like hour-long Logic Pro X tutorials. I'll download it, rewatch them, dissect them, really go into it and just like binge watch his tutorials. I'd watch a few of the FL Studio guys as well and try and apply it to Logic. I didn't go to school for this. I didn't buy courses on that. Not that they're bad or anything like that, but to be honest, I just learned everything through YouTube and then also just putting in the time and practicing. Do you think moving to a different city helps achieve goals? I think about this question a lot. I think it's a great question, and it really just depends on, I think it comes down to what opportunities are you trying to go after. If you want to get placements and stuff, it might be beneficial for you to move to a bigger city where there's a popping music scene and you have more of a chance to network with these individuals and get placements. Let's say you're living in a small town, no one is, I don't know, making music. No one's really doing what you do. There's no one around you who are on the same wavelength as you. And you know what they say, it's like you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. If you've got no one on your wavelength like that, then it might be, again, beneficial for you to move to another city and be with like-minded individuals, because obviously that's just going to help you elevate too. So there's reasons why you would want to do that. But at the same time, let's say you don't really care about placements or you're happy with just doing everything online, because honestly, with the online stuff, with the internet, you know, you can make a very good living as a music producer. You don't have to get placements anymore. Like, you could just sell your beats online, and you can do that literally from anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection. So it really just depends on what your goals are. You got to analyze your goals, think about what you want, and then you have to decide for yourself, is it beneficial? For me personally, being back in London, I think is very beneficial, because even just like, I wouldn't say I've had loads of opportunities, but even with just the opportunities that I've had, it couldn't have happened if I was living in Spain still, or even if I was living in Manchester. Being here, I've been like fortunate to be in certain situations just by being in the city. So again, you just got to analyze what works for you. Did you have a backup plan if music didn't work out? If so, what was it? Once I committed to being a music producer, there was no plan B, honestly. It was like all or nothing. I wanted to be a music producer so badly that I just couldn't see anything else. Of course, there was a time period where I was doing the whole making money online thing and doing music. But once I decided I'm doing music, that was it. You couldn't tell me nothing else. You couldn't tell me, but suppose it doesn't work out. In my world, there was no, it doesn't work out. It works out. It's just timing. So I guess that's the answer. There's no plan B. Let's say, nah, I can't even entertain it. There would be no plan B. I'd have to make it work somewhere or another. All right, I'll probably do like one more question. What are your goals for 2021? I mean, we're kind of like almost halfway through it already. But as I said before, I really want to get some placements. In the beginning of the year, I said 5 placements. So that's what I'm still going for. I really just want to continue to put out the best content that I can on YouTube. So keep putting out, you know, more and more videos and keep growing the platform on YouTube. And honestly, I want to help my brother as well, launch his stuff, launch his music. And that's about it. Honestly, I haven't like got a ton of goals this year. Usually I'd be very specific, like bang, 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 bang. No, honestly, I'm just trying to get some placements and do that. But yeah, that's about it for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got like a better idea of who I am. and my story and my come up. Even though the come up hasn't finished yet, I'm still coming up. Like, as they say, you know, we're not where. Oh, I can't even say what's the phrase again? Not where I want to be. I think Internet Money used to say that all the time. Check back tomorrow. Not where I want to be yet. Check back tomorrow. We're still on the journey, and that's the beautiful thing. I'm loving the journey. But yeah, as I said before, definitely gonna drop these podcasts more often, and hopefully you find them useful just as much as I find podcasts useful. But that is about it for this one. You'll hear from me in the future.